right, welcome everyone. Thank you all for being here and bearing with us while we get some things set up. And welcome to our first processing, aggregation, and distribution webinar. So this is a new format for us, so please let us know if you face any issues so we can get that remediated. But you guys, participants should be able to respond to anyone in the chat and also ask questions with the Q&A function, which we will answer at the end. So we are going to kick off this webinar with a quick introduction of all of our panelists and who we are before moving into individual brief about 15-minute presentations from each person before moving into Q&A. That's the game plan. Again, hi everyone, I'm Tessa Weineke, she, her, with Open Circle Studio, here to just provide some background support. And then I'm going to pass it to the co-chair of this working group, Kathleen, to introduce herself real quick.
Hi, thank y'all for joining us. My name is Kathleen Terry Baker, and I am with Appalachian Sustainable Development and the co-chair of this working group, as Tessa said. So just welcome everybody. I'm super excited about today. Leslie, you maybe want to introduce yourself as sort of a member of this?
Yes, I would love to introduce myself. I'm Leslie Scheller, all in caps, Leslie. Thanks to Jodi. We've been meeting here between ACEN and Grow Ohio Valley in lovely downtown Wheeling. So I am more than excited to be here. I am the Director of Programs for the Appalachian Center for Economic Networks. And Riley, really excited to see you too.
All right, let's get a brief introduction from our three panelists. Let's do Jodi, Riley, then Anthony.
Sure. Hi, I'm Jodi Adams, and I'm the COO at Grow Ohio Valley here in Wheeling, West Virginia. Okay, I think that was it. Just those three things. Easy. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Riley Kinnard, and I am the general manager, part owner of Kindred Market in Athens, Ohio.
And I'm Anthony Henwood. I'm part of the business development team here at Blue Label Packaging, and we're in Lancaster, Ohio.
All right, thank you all so much for being here. Would anyone like to volunteer to go ahead and get started with their little presentations? We can get moving.
I'm happy to start this off. All right, well, the first thing I got to do is share my screen, and let me just figure that out real quick. I want to do so I want to.
Hey, Riley, I just added you as a co-host, which might give you the ability to share your screen.
Okay. Let me go back to the. Oh, man. I am. Oh, wait, here we go. Okay. So start screen.
Yeah, do you see like a solid green box with an arrow in it at the bottom that says share? Yeah, click on that. Perfect.
Okay, great. So you can all see my screen, I assume. And what does anyone know how to like expand the view of my PowerPoint presentation? What is that? Just so I can do like a full screen mode. It seems like that should be possible. Oh, right. Well,
if you
I'll just do it this way.
Yeah, you can look down at the bottom. There's a little, looks like a TV kind of on a stand, very near.
There it is. There it is. Okay. Thank you. Okay, this is what I needed. Thank you. All right. So again, my name is Riley Kinnard. I started an organic, natural, local foods grocery store in 2019 here in Athens. I started it with my family. I am the general manager. I oversee a staff of about 40 people. Our store is medium sized. It's about 4,500 square feet. Just to tell you a little bit about our growth, in 2019, when we opened, we served about 280 customers every day, and we had about $1 million in sales. And 2024, we are serving approximately 580 customers every day, and we saw about $5 million in sales. So I feel really fortunate to have enjoyed the success of a small business in our special Athens community. The store is doing really well. So the first slide here is just me kind of coming to terms with what is a marketing strategy. I have to admit that I really haven't slowed down enough in the last 5 years to truly investigate these things. I appreciate this opportunity because I have not had the opportunity to really look at the bones of a marketing strategy and think about these things in technical terms. So this is one of the first times that I was forced to do that. And I found this idiom, just, seeing the forest for its trees or the tree for its leaves. And I especially took to this because our marketing specialist, her name is Tree, and she does a lot of this work, really. She is the kind of creative force behind a lot of the marketing that we do at Kindred, and helped me put a lot of this information together. So I included a pic of her. But yeah, what is a marketing strategy really? From what I've learned, it consists of market analysis, identification of key tactics that drive our engagement and our growth, the actual creative work and effort that goes into it every day, and then employing a talented marketing specialist. So marketing analysis, I've broken that down into 2 areas: identifying our target audience, and then creating the space and setting the stage. So target audience identification. Kindred Market focuses on catering to 3 demographics in Athens. Those demographics are young families, college students, and then people over 65. Across all of these demographics, there exists shared values and lifestyle preferences that bring our target audience into common ground. And what are these shared values and lifestyle preferences? A healthy food system, having ingredient standards, social justice standards, sustainability and environmental impact of our food system, community health and growing the local economy, and also conscious consumerism. Kindred attempts to provide a retail experience that connects people to their humanity rather than lead people away from it. And then setting the stage, creating the vibe. I liked this. This was kind of the most relatable for me because I'm more of a big picture person, and it's also the thing that I feel most inclined to, just creating the impact of energy and atmosphere on marketing, and just creating the space to be able to deliver effective marketing to our customers. I feel like promoting culture and community within our space that feels aligned, vibrant, inclusive, and safe is extremely important. When you're doing that, I think it's important to consider all of the senses, like what is the store, how does it smell? What are the colors that customers see, the lighting, the music, and above all, the friendliness of our staff. I think it's very important to make people feel welcome. We ask all of our staff to make eye contact, smile, offer assistance to anybody who chooses to shop at our store. We also put an effort into providing resources and education to customers and staff. And more on marketing in the in-store experience at Kindred. We do this with lots of different ways. These are just kind of different strategies. We have Infra Deal end caps, and Infra is an acronym that stands for the Independent Natural Food Retailers Association. We've been members of this nonprofit since before the store opened. And it's basically a network of independently owned natural foods grocery stores around the country that, you know, we band together to get better buying power with natural foods distributors, but also do a lot of networking and skill sharing and conferences and whatnot. But the infra deals are the promotional pricing that we're able to offer on a percentage of our inventory on a monthly basis. And we create special end caps for them. We also do themed end caps, customized things that change every 2 to 4 weeks. We do sample Sundays, weekly vestibule flash sales, new product placement to boost sales. It's incredible the impact of just moving a thing a few feet in one direction or another and how it suddenly becomes visible to customers again. We also have custom signs with our specific fonts to reinforce brand identity, product demos, and knowledgeable brand representatives. We try to do that as often as possible. And then we do occasional raffles and giveaways. So market trends overview. One of the things we try to do is just keeping ahead of current trends. We feel like that's vital to Kindred Market's success. We're able to do that by, you know, sending our staff to multiple trade shows every year. We participate in these share groups sponsored by Infra. We also attend conferences. The buyers also have access to numerous resources highlighting trends and new products. Our Infra membership has been really helpful. And we use SPINS data to learn more about products that are trending and things that are popular amongst our key demographics. And then economic factors affecting purchasing decisions are also a major focus. We use the bi-monthly promotion cycle that extends discounts across popular brands. We also do flash sales, line drives that give deeper discounts on smaller selections of products. And these efforts work to both affect price perception and affordability while keeping customers engaged. And the next section of our marketing strategy is the marketing tactics. And the three ways I was going to break this down are digital marketing, brand positioning, and then content marketing plan. So what are our digital marketing approaches? Well, we do email marketing. So we have a monthly newsletter. We send out birthday coupons, special coupons, events, the newsletter about the events and the promotions that month. We have a rewards and loyalty account. That is a way for us to get people's email contact information, and then we, use that to communicate with them. We do a lot of work on social media. The social media is organized using a content calendar. So we also, she also stays updated on the changes in the algorithm, and she highlights deals and local goods, also uses social media for customer education. When it comes to the website, it's another part of our digital marketing. We're tracking our Google stats, looking at our reviews, responding to reviews. We also have a blog post on our website. And then we do online giveaways and increase online. All of these things are designed to increase our online visibility and engage our target audiences. and brand positioning strategies. So I think of brand positioning as like ways that Kindred connects, who we are, our identity, or how we want our customers to perceive us with the community. So one of the things we do is giving back through our Common Sense donation program. We make a quarterly donation to local nonprofit organizations. We also have, frequently sponsor and donate in-kind food and drink and, funds to different organizations and community events. We do partnerships with local brands. We collaborate on posts, and we highlight local producers and artisans. We also host fun events and foster community relationships. Content marketing plan. So the different content in our marketing plan, we're promoting monthly deals and flash sales in the stories, utilizing a content calendar for social media posts. This is really helpful to just plan out all of the marketing you're going to do in advance, months in advance, and kind of break it down so you're not doing the same thing over and over. Promotion of both a senior discount day and a student discount day, where those customers receive 10% off their transactions and purchases. And then we do fun national holidays that relate to our store, like Mom and Pop Shop Day, for example, and monthly observances as well, themes, holidays, Earth Month, for example, Plastic Free July. In conclusion, Kindred Market strategy is a well-rounded approach encompassing analysis and innovative marketing tactics. By continuously adapting to trends, leveraging digital channels, and focusing on in-store experience and community, we have positioned ourselves for sustained growth and increased customer loyalty. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation. I know we're going to take times for questions at the end, so I'll just wait until then.
All right, thank you so much, Riley. If you would mind, stop sharing your screen, and then we can pass it over to Jodi with Grow Ohio Valley in the public market.
Thank you. I was just putting a question in the chat. That was really good, Riley. Thank you. Okay. Let me see.
Have I stopped sharing my screen?
It's still there, but it's asking me to allow multiple presenters.
Okay. Oh, I see it. Stop share. Okay, we're good.
Okay, great. Let me try again. Oh, shoot. Okay, can you all see that?
Yes.
And then how did you get it on the screen without all the...
If you look up at the top where it says slideshow.
Yep.
You should be able to click that and we'll do it.
Thank you. All right. Can you all see that okay?
It looks great.
Oh, shoot. Anybody know how to go back?
Try using the left arrow on your keypad.
There we go. Okay. Sorry about that, y'all. Thank you so much. My name is Jodi Adams, and I'm from Grow Ohio Valley, but we have a year-round farmers market called the Public Market. And I was the first general manager of the Public Market, and the store opened at the very tail end of 2019. And then I came on board right at the end of that year, but officially started at the beginning of January in 2020. And I've since then moved into a position that's more of overall operations for the organization. So I'm going to be bringing this presentation to you from that perspective, not being in the store every day, but really watching closely and working with the team weekly. And I'm going to go through kind of a year by year glance, but we've evolved a ton. There's been a lot that's gone on, of course, COVID and different community things that have impacted our business. So with that being said, I have some years of business down here and just kind of what we made in each year. And as you can see, it's little roller coaster. It's not too big of dips and hills. But what I will say is that in Q1 of 2025, we hit a number that is our highest Q1 ever. So we're really excited about that and really have a lot of momentum going into 2025. And we have some good ideas of what has gotten us there. And one of the biggest reasons is that we wrote an FMPP grant last year where we grant funded a sales and marketing manager that could come in and work in the store, create and implement a full-on marketing strategy for the public market, which we have never really had before. And we're already seeing the rewards come from that. So just going through the years real quick, because this is going to come back to some of the things that we're doing now that we feel like really drive the business and that we do focus on with marketing. So in year one, we obviously had COVID. We started to do some things differently to get people through the door even when they didn't feel safe to do so. So we were a small store, which really benefited us because a lot of people didn't want to go to Kroger and Walmart. And we were able to offer a curbside option. The biggest thing that we did, though, was we expanded our SNAP Stretch program. So we were getting a 50% stretch coverage from the Food and Farm Coalition with just produce. And probably at the end of 2020, we started to hear about more money and more dollars going into SNAP benefits, but then also kids at schools starting to get some of those SNAP benefits too. So between 20 and 21, we really jumped on that and not only marketed the heck out of it, stuffing backpacks at schools and just trying to let everybody know that we had a really incredible SNAP Stretch program. We had to do a lot of fundraising from private foundations to get that 50% covered. So between 20 and 21, and you can see the sales really jump in 21, we were able to get funding for 50% of everything that a person could purchase on their SNAP card. So in West Virginia, like I said, a lot of kids who weren't necessarily SNAP eligible any other time got these cards and got these dollars to spend, and then parents started to know about us. So we saw that that was something really incredible for our customer, and so we started to think about, okay, how can we keep this funding going? And it was a little bit hit or miss until we got to 2023. So the other thing that I want to mention is that in 2022 to 2023, we had a switchover in executive director. So the founder and executive director, Danny Swan, left the organization, and Jason Kegler started at that point. And at the same time, we had a very, very big streetscape project going on in Wheeling, which was completely blocking all of our parking, our entrances, and it went on for about a year and a half. The cool thing that I can say about that is that the community businesses did get together and had some joint marketing presence and different events that they held to get people through our doors. But as you can see, business really did dip. And last year, you know, we had a hard time sort of getting a foundation set with people. And while the streetscape project ended, we were sort of going in and out of managers, and what we have now is a really good business savvy manager who I think is really smart about marketing and about business and makes some decisions that make a really good impact on our business. So that's why we feel like we're trending in a really good direction. The insight that we do have on the positive trends, I've already mentioned Snap. It's affordable. It's very unique. It's about 30% of our overall business. So there is no other store around that is able to give a 50% stretch on all Snap product. So we do try to market that a ton. And we have found that social media is the best way to market that. And then the other way, of course, is word of mouth. There's not too many people that are reading a newspaper or listening to the radio anymore. So different sorts of marketing have been really beneficial there. And then the other thing that we see is people coming through the door for the vendor quality and the variety of product. So the public market in Wheeling is the place where you can find the most local product available under one roof. We really market that on social media a ton. We have days of the week, certain days of the week where we do vendor highlights. And our team does a really good job of going out, visiting farms, taking really good pictures, getting knowledge about them and then being able to share it with the public. And then they do the same inside. So inside the store, the team members are sharing as much as they can about vendors with the customers, which really then, helps the customer understand what they're buying and get excited about what they're buying. And then last but not least, one other thing that we think really pushes that positive trend is the kitchen. So we have a lot of marketing on our kitchen because the pictures of food can go the wrong way too, but our pictures of food have been really good. We have a really talented chef in our kitchen who is creating healthy and convenient and very, very affordable meals. And, when in times we've had a week or whatever where the kitchen needs to be closed, we see the foot traffic really impacted. So we do think that really helps us drive a good, healthy business. The ways in which we have driven the impact, and I've mentioned some of these, but writing an FMPP grant that then paid for a sales and marketing manager position to really focus on a marketing strategy. We have a really sales-driven and business-savvy store manager. So the two of them working together has really been a plus. Our social media is, I think, really strong. It drives a ton of engagement, and we've seen that engagement percentage go up exponentially since she's been here. She's been here since the end of last year, our sales and marketing manager. So she owns all of that. And then community engagement. So she's out in the community a lot. She's talking about the public market. She's talking about Grow Ohio Valley. She's talking about the benefit of buying local and really, getting the community to know who we are, know where we are, and then come and visit us. This is just a picture of our social media. So we've increased followers. We've got about I think we're around 10,000 now, actually. Our public market social media is separate from Grow Ohio Valley. And, a big conversation has been in the last, I would say, 6 months since the sales and marketing manager got on board is, should we be combining the two a bit more? We do try to have an echo of one another's posts on the other social media, but they all the time don't line up. But yeah, there's been a lot of talk about that. As you can see in our signage at the front of the store too, there's nothing that says Grow Ohio Valley. So we're starting to integrate that a little bit more. And yeah, I'll see where that goes. So I think that is it. That's all I have to present. And I think we're waiting for questions until the end. So thank you all so much.
Right, thank you so much, Jodi. And we'll pass it to Anthony with Blue Label to kind of close us out for the presentation section.
Absolutely. Let me put my screen up here and I will share what we have here. Cool. Can everyone see that?
We cannot.
No, don't see anything yet.
Now we can see that. Thanks.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'll talk a little bit about Blue Label packaging and kind of how the package affects marketing and some of our process and how we get folks to kind of help get the package ready and good to go and help with labeling and all the different things that we offer here at Blue Label to help with that. So to start out, I'll talk about Blue Label and who we are. So Blue Label is a family-owned digital printing company, here in Central Ohio that started in 1957. We actually started as a church offering envelope company. So all we strictly printed back then was church offering envelopes. Still a part of the business today. A much smaller portion than it was, as most of that stuff has gone digital. And so then in 2013, we bought our first HP Indigo digital press, which kind of which prints multiple different SKUs on one run, doesn't require any new tooling to do that. So to kind of give you some background on Blue Label and what we do, I started at Blue Label 6 years ago on our business development team and have been doing that ever since. So we work with a number of different markets. Craft beverage is our main driver. So beer, wine, spirits is most of what we do. But as I'll talk about here, we do a lot of specialty food, household good, any of those consumer product goods. So we'll kind of highlight that here as well. Talking about competing in the consumer packaged goods market. So the CPG US market 2024 totaled just over 800 billion, and that's expected to grow annually by 5.1% by 2031. We looked up a number of studies here to talk about, purchasing decisions and what that looks like. In a store, it's estimated it takes a consumer under 10 seconds to make a purchasing decision. We saw some of those numbers as low as 3 seconds, some were as high as, 10 to 11. So we kind of did an average here, but most of them are under 10 seconds that it takes the consumer to make a decision while in the store. And the reason being, again, in today's world, everyone has that information at their fingertips. So probably have the most educated buyer that we've ever had. And most folks are going into going into buying with a decision mostly already made, but a couple things can affect that. And we'll talk about the packaging here as we move through that. So how can Blue Label help? Again, we have a team here of label experts that help kind of onboard. I'm again part of that team. There's 5 of us that are in the business development department that help onboard new customers. And then once a customer is onboarded up and running, we have a team of about a dozen account managers who manage anywhere from 300 to 400 accounts at a time. Again, all different regions of the country, all different different verticals as far as like I said, craft beverage, household goods, specialty foods, things like that. For capabilities, again, we have some capabilities that can help differentiate your label, variable data, hot foil stamping, cold foil, emboss, deboss, some screen printing, spot and flood varnish, lamination, double-sided print, and then we can also do specialty die cuts, and I'll highlight some of that stuff as we go throughout. So talking about benefits of digital printing, there's a couple different printing options that are techniques that are used out there. Digital is the newest, and again, when we're thinking about an HP Indigo, it's the same setup that you have with your desktop printer, right? It's using the CMYK process. However, it's just blown up on a much larger scale. And again, we're running anywhere from a 13-inch web to a 30-inch web to run multiple SKUs across that web. So again, benefits of digital printing, our ability, to produce orders of all sizes because there's not any tooling needed for that order, right? And so that's really helpful. And we don't have any order minimum quantities. We can do as many or as little labels as a company needs. Obviously, the ability with no plate use, we can do some variable data. So if dates need to change or things like that, we can definitely do that on our end. Color accuracy and consistency, again, something that we've worked on for our marketing specifically. I think it was a 3-year project. We worked with a company called GMG, who is a world leader in color management. They hadn't done much in the digital space and have worked with us over the years. And finally, within the last 6 months, have kind of had a breakthrough to get that up and running and fully available on all orders, any material we use. So that's been great for us. We have the ability, the thing about digital printing, you can run multiple SKUs without additional plate costs, no limitations to the amount of color used, and a quick turnaround time because there is no tooling needed. A lot of folks wonder like where to start with what they use for their packaging. We offer kind of 3 primary things right now through digital print. One of which being pressure sensitive labels or stickers. As my wife so eloquently puts, when people ask what your husband does for a living, she says he sells stickers. I like to think it's a little more complicated than that, but she's a labor and delivery nurse, so hers is much more complicated than mine. So I will dumb mine down to yes, I sell stickers. That's totally fine. But if stickers isn't the route to go for you, we also can print shrink sleeves, which again is essentially a plastic tube that can be shrunk in tightly to a container and fit 360 degrees. So it kind of gives you the same look of printing on, full coverage, whatever that may look like. And then also we have hang tags as a small secondary label, or for odd containers that aren't going to, be able to use one of the first 2. Hang tags are another effective option to be able to put some information in front of the customer for their decision making there. Some things to consider when picking materials and what we're going to use most often is, how and where is your product going to be displayed? And then to think about second, if you want that label to last the lifetime of the product, we need to make sure that that's also going to be set up for the refrigerator that is coming out in and out of, the ice bath that the product may be in. We want to make sure that that brand name is in front of the customer for the life of the product. So, a couple things that I highlighted here, a farmer's market, you got to take into account the outdoor elements that the label may come in. Freezer, cooler, like I mentioned, in and out of areas that could come in condensation. We don't want to use a paper label for that, right? We want to make sure we have something that's going to hold up a little better than that. Store shelf, again, consider ways that we're standing out from competitors there and different things we can do to differentiate your label. And then the other option is, a clear label. Do you want to do like a no label look where someone can see what the product is inside the container? We have clear materials, plenty of clear materials that we can use to help with that. Sorry, I'm skipping one ahead every time. Shaping your label, talking a little bit about the shapes that are available. As I mentioned, we can obviously regular die cut labels for folks. And so the shape of your label depends on the container it's going on, as well as your company's brand and aesthetic. So we have a example here of the folks at Spice House who do a couple different sizes. And again, they differentiate that small with some different small irregular die cuts that again highlights the brand a little bit. So again, can definitely work with whatever you may need there. Another thing we try to work on with folks is, again, we're working with so many different brands, right? From your local mom and pops that are ordering a couple hundred of something that want to make it look the same as, a Johnson and Johnson does on the shelf, right? And so by understanding what you're trying to achieve, we can offer more or some cost-effective options that will give you that same look. So, things like using a metallic material instead of foil stamping a label. Again, using that characteristic of the material to help certain areas stand out. Again, got an example of that here on the screen where we've used a metallic bot material to make some areas metallic and then some areas look like matte. And then if you do end up, folks do end up want something more high end, right? Where it's a textured material with a foil stamp, then let's look at making that, embellishment the same across multiple labels to create brand consistency and printing efficiencies. And again, I'll go back one slide real quick to set, highlight Spice House, who does this really well. Why you can see the flavor name is not foil stamped or have anything there. So that can change label to label, but the foil stamped area will be the same in every label. And so again, now they've got one plate that they can do that effectively, while keeping that, brand identity across all SKUs. Utilizing Blue Label. So again, if there's any way that we can help with any projects that anyone has upcoming, again, a couple ways that you can reach out to us. The first thing that I always try to do is get a sample packet in folks' hands, so that way they can see different material finish options that we have available, to help the process. Resources, we also have a ton of resources on our website. So we have a designer directory, guides to help building artwork, and blogs that showcase best practices, product offerings, and more. So again, digital marketing is a huge part for us, and having those resources available on the website for folks is super important to us to make sure that we're able to help even when someone's not available from the normal 9 to 5 hours, right? We've still got those resources out there for people to use. And then again, we're always available to help consult, right? This morning I had a call with some folks that are doing like a shrubbery mix of some sort, and it was like a shrub artisanal mix for like a drink. And I talked to them for an hour this morning to kind of understand what they were trying to go through. So I'm happy to, we're always happy to help with consult and figure out how we can help to kind of bring that package to life. And sometimes folks use the package as an afterthought, and I think that it's definitely a part of the brand identity and should be thought of early on. And we're happy to help in that process. And then again, I kind of let's chat if you have questions. And again, we're doing those probably after I'm done here, but I've got my contact information here if anyone needs that. And then again, I can shoot that over to anyone that may need it if you have any questions after today. And that's all I have.
Right. Thank you so much to all of our presenters. So folks can go ahead and ask questions in the Q&A box or ask to unmute so you can ask your question aloud.
I see a question in the chat for Riley. And the question is, do you have a person who leads this strategy, or is that do you manage that?
So we employ a marketing specialist. I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation. Her name is Tree Wilson, and it's essentially just she and I. She really is the creative force behind most of the content, and I am kind of an ideas person as well. So we meet on a weekly basis and talk about what's coming up, and kind of shoot ideas off of each other. But I would say Tree, our marketing specialist, and then myself.
Yeah, Leslie, you do have a question?
Yeah, I'm never shy to ask a question. So it's for Jodi and for Riley. Jodi's sitting right next to me laughing. But talk a little bit about the challenges during COVID. Some of the, I know, Jodi, you talked about curbside. Riley, I mean, I have lots of pictures of everybody masked up at Kindred Market during the peak period of COVID. So I'm just wondering, how do you guys feel like you pivot sometimes, depending on what's happening in the sort of universe of local food and marketplaces?
Okay, I can go first. The pivot is like a move that I have memorized because it happens a lot. You know, one of the things about COVID that I didn't mention, and I'm sure every business had, but especially the public facing businesses, is we had a very hard time keeping staff there every day. The main, I think, theme with the customer in the pivot was how to communicate. We did something really funny that I think was funny, but it actually worked. We are in a location where we're on Main Street in Wheeling. Tons and tons of cars, all the cars in downtown, right? Like are going past this point. We put up a giant sign that said, "We are open." No kidding. Because remember, you didn't know who was closed or open or what was happening. So it said, "We are open." It had our phone number and it said, "We do curbside, whatever." So we used that to show people who were in their cars driving around, we're here. But I remember that even that being a challenge, like people not knowing if you were open or not. There were a lot of challenges then. I think getting word out about the curbside was another challenge. How to reach people. I know that people were pretty deep into social media, so that was lucky for, you know, those of us who are putting a lot of their marketing into social media. And then the other thing that I'll add is that I'm thinking now too of like what our pivot is going to be if something happens. Maybe we have 30% of our business that goes to SNAP, for example. What if something happens with SNAP? What is our pivot going to be then? So we've been thinking about that. We've been thinking about, you know, increasing in prices. You know, eggs were a thing a few weeks ago, and how do we create a pivot so that our products are still accessible to everyone? Yeah, I mean, I think you just have to keep your ear to the ground. You have to listen to your customer and try different things.
Yes, I agree, especially about listening to the customer. I think that during the pandemic, it was very much like, you know, you would get to the store every day and have to reinvent the wheel, come up with a new game plan that was going to make everybody feel comfortable and safe. Looking back, I really think that we did a great job, but the reason that we succeeded was because we listened to our staff and we listened to our customers, and we reacted quickly. You know, especially the concerns of the staff were really, really helpful at that time when it came to decisions about masking and about numbers of people that we were going to allow into the store with social distancing. We also had to launch a web cart online store. When we opened in 2019, we had that capacity, but we hadn't done it yet. We just hadn't gotten it together. And when the pandemic hit, we had basically had to launch it within a month's time. So that was we continue to use it. It's not nearly as popular as it was, but it's just an online store where people can build their grocery cart and then submit their order. So we had, in the height of the pandemic, we were doing probably 2 or 3 curbside pickup orders every half an hour. and we had a position in the store that was called Forager. The Forager, their whole shift was just picking and putting together people's web cart orders. But yeah, it was just staying on top of the latest announcements and listening to our customers and our staff, and then doing what felt like the most responsible thing to create the safest space possible.
And then this is a question based off something Della asked in the chat for Blue Label. Della asked, was the Coca can art typical of the graphic style that you guys often see? But I was wondering if you could talk a bit more about how you all at Blue Label interact with various graphic designs and how you support small businesses making graphic decisions.
Yeah, I saw that question and I've had some time to think on it, and I think that that is the cool part and the challenge of my role here at Blue Label, right? Is that we do work with a lot of independent designers, right? And so I think in that it gives us the ability to see a lot of different things and bring a lot of different things to life in different styles and things like that. So we support those by, again, like I said, on the website, we have a designer directory. So that can push you to folks that we've worked with in the past. Again, most of them are independent designers. There's a couple design agencies, but again, all of them are, independently owned. One that stands out to me again is the folks in Stout Collective who are in Chicago. We work with them, hand in hand on a lot of projects, and it's cool to see. Again, they're someone who we work with a lot, so we kind of know the expectation on both ends and what we can bring to life, and they have a good idea of what we can and can't achieve in design. There are folks that, again, haven't worked with us before, and so they bring a piece of art like this to us, and it's like, what can we do with this? What can we make this stand out? How can we do that? And so then you've got to kind of set some expectations. And then, of course, depending on how elaborate we get, you definitely want to sample, but then the samples are, like the cocoa label, for example, that requires a full production to sample it, right? We can't just print that and let you see it. So there's some limitations there as far as how much can you see with as little money going into it as possible, right? So the more elaborate the design, the higher the cost for a sample is to get right, depending on the embellishments and things like that. So it is a cool experience to be able to help people bring stuff to life. But again, a challenge in the sense that because of so many different independent designers that we work with, expectations are a little different throughout. And so, are we doing exactly what we've said, and are you getting the product you expect, right? Based off of what you thought we could or can be done with this.
Thank you. And I'm going to ask just a quick, easy question for all three of you. Because this is a working group focused on food and farm small businesses, especially in Appalachia. Like, what is your guys' brand philosophy for working with small businesses, and how do you support like your local food economy through your business?
I'm happy to take this one first. Kindred Market tends to pretty much bring in or want to bring in as many local products as we can. We prioritize local product over a national brand in most cases, in all cases, really. The only time we would ever not bring a local product into Kindred is when the ingredient standards weren't up to our standards. But otherwise, we are attempting to have as many local products as we possibly can, and we try to promote the vendors that we work with on our website, as well as the number of, I think we have over 1,000 local products for sale in our store right now, and we have a count we keep in our vestibule. So yeah, we just try to bring more people on board as often as possible.
Yeah, we do as well. We have a goal to bring on a certain amount of vendors per month, and we have a person that's dedicated to doing that and really getting them to be market ready. So helping them with labels or ingredient listings, all of that fun stuff. We are on a consignment model that pays the vendor 80% of the price. So, we're in a position where we do cover some of the cost with grants, like the person who supports the vendors, we write a grant for. And it's covered with a grant because we don't really make any money as a market on that product, because we want to give as much back as possible. And then really the way that our business is operating right now, or maybe not operating, but the results that we're seeing are the majority of the business is going to non-local packaged goods. So people are shopping their groceries, a healthier version of a pasta or a tortilla, whatever. That's the majority of the business, but local products are about 24% of the business. And then, the variety and such from there, the meat that we have we're the only space with that much local meat, and it sells a ton. But I think what we see is that local products bring people through the door, which is awesome. But I think the buying really happens in a combination with local and the other product. And we're just seeing more sales in that packaged grocery. So we want to make sure that we have the right product there to complement the local. So, that is a part of the strategy, although it's not directly related. And then social media, like I said, is something that we try to focus on for our vendors. And of course, having the Snap Stretch and being able to offer our vendors product to our Snap Stretch customer at 50% is a huge advantage and has increased their sales a ton over the years.
Ours isn't as straightforward as obviously as you folks offering local products, but what I will say again that we do, and we sponsor some local events that are for the community and do promote local. So one that I can think of is that I think we do some help with the farmers market here in Lancaster. I also know that we sponsor the annual craft beer brew festival, which again brings in beers from all over the area. Additionally, though, one thing that we've done recently is made a very concerted effort and again, most of these folks are our customers, but we want to make sure that we're giving back and hosting events at certain places that we work with, right? So, for example, there's a new winery that just opened local to us on a golf course, and again became a customer of ours, which then in turn gave us the opportunity to write to. We've done 3 kind of summit dinners at their location recently, to kind of get the team together. So a couple things that we can do to help support them, and then we also couple local breweries we do a happy hour at annually, so to get the team together and also support the brewery. And then the other nice thing about having a couple breweries, both local breweries for us, is that in both instances we can test new product offerings. So we can test with them to make sure it works, but then also they're the first ones to get some product offerings that we have, and they're the first ones to be able to utilize those. So not as straightforward as utilizing local vendors, because again, most of that for us it has to be done nationally, but we do make sure that we are giving back to the local customers that we can and that we see frequently.
All right, and with that, we are at time. Thank you all so much for spending the time here today. Huge thank you to our panelists, Jodi, Riley, and Anthony, for taking the time to prepare a presentation and answer questions. I appreciate you all. And I hope folks will join us back next month on the third Thursday at 1 p.m. And I believe it is our grants and fundraising session.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Everyone.
Really appreciate it.